Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The Alumni Podcast, where you get to hear the inspiring stories and transformation that DVC has had to offer its alumni. And now, on with the episode. Hey, folks. This is Charley Daly, your host for the DVC Alumni Podcast, DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. And I wanted to do a little extra intro because for those that are looking for ways to learn better about how to network and how to build your community and how to build a business around networking, I certainly recommend listening in on this and connecting with Maile Collmer. I've known her for a number of years. She's done remarkably well. One of the things she brought up in her podcast is that, she's been through real estate through a lot of storms, but she has never ever had a W-2 job, and she's always worked on commission. And the fact that she's been able to build networking out to that point is truly remarkable. So check her out on LinkedIn at milecollmer.com. That's MaileCollmer. Sorry about that. And on with the podcast. So some of the stuff. All right. You about ready?
I was born ready.
Okay. And we are live. So I'm going to start with having you introduce yourself. Oh, I haven't done that part yet. So yeah. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
It's a formality of networking is shaking hands and looking person in the eye and connecting.
That's right. So
there's your first lesson.
Oh, thanks. So let's start off with, I've known you for a while, we'll just say.
Yes.
So let's start with, so just go ahead and introduce yourself. Give your little elevator speech. Yes. Pitch.
Well, for context, so my name is Miley, rhymes with Smiley, Miley. So that's easy to remember. It's spelled like Mai Tai, Maile, because it's Hawaiian. My parents met in Hawaii, and I lived there for my first decade. And look, I even wore a little splash of my past with my Hawaiian shirt today. Yes. So.
I was going to say, I actually have a shirt that's very similar to that. Had I known, had I gotten the memo, I would have worn it today.
I should have called you ahead of time.
I know. So I didn't know that you grew up in Hawaii.
My first decade was in Hawaii, yes. And then we moved here too.
Okay. So you then grew up from 10 years old on here.
Yes.
And where'd you go to school out here?
I went to Clayton Valley High School. I went to Pine Hollow Intermediate. Mm-hmm. I went to Highlands Elementary, Pine Hollow, Clayton Valley.
Okay. And now, at some point, you ended up here at the fabulous Diablo Valley College. Was
Absolutely.
that right out of high school, or how did you make that? Okay.
So right out of high school, one of the things that I was really involved in, and I'll just share a little background. So growing up, I was super shy and introverted. And
I'm sorry. I've known you for quite a while, but I know. But then I have to remember, it's like people go, "Oh, you're such an extrovert" to me, and I'm going, "No, I'm not." And it's like,
yes. Yeah. So, and I say that now I'm a situational extrovert, which a lot of people say that they are naturally introverted. And the thing is if you like people, then that's good, right? It's good for connection. It's good for business. But being shy and introverted, when we moved from Hawaii to California, and I had to start in that new school, and all the butterflies and the knots in my stomach, feeling like an outsider, and the culture is so different. Hawaii is very warm, and I found California to be quite cold and cliquey. And so one of the ways that I grew out of my shyness was by joining groups and teams. Oh. So I was in band, I was in color guard, and I got up the guts to try out for cheerleading. So I was in cheerleading in high school. I was also a junior volunteer, aka candy striper, at Kaiser Walnut Creek for 4 years during high school. Had over 800 service hours doing that. And so by being involved in all these groups and teams, I had the opportunity to audition for the Concord Blue Devils A-Corps, which is their flagship program. And before auditioning for the A-Corps, I took a dance class here at DVC by the fabulous Wanda Martin-McGill. And Wanda was a professional dancer in Dance Theater of Harlem. And she was an incredible dance instructor. And she really, really elevated my dance training and technique and expanded my repertoire, what I could do in dance. And it just expanded my abilities and my skills.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I auditioned for the Concord Blue Devils A Corps color guard, I got in, which was, and if you don't know anything about the Concord Blue Devils, definitely look them up and get to know them, because they are a huge part of our local pride, and people from all around the world actually know who we are and come from all over to audition for the A Corps. And so when I was in the Blue Devils, we had people, of course, because we're a California group, we have a lot of Californians from across the state, but we also had people from across the nation and some people from out of country. So Canada, of course, but also Japan, the Netherlands, England, Scotland. So we had some people from out of country as well. And so we toured and performed across the United States. And one of the things I always knew I was going to go to college, and I had a dream school in mind where I wanted to go. And I was on this path where I wanted to dance while I was young. And because it is an age limiting career. And so I wanted to perform with the Blue Devils, and I wanted to stay local. And so I enrolled in DVC, and that dance class was my kind of entryway and my core, anchor.
Mm-hmm.
And I took every class that she taught, I think, for the years that I was here. She was incredible.
So I'm going to hold on a moment, because we're going to get back to this, because this is all stuff I didn't know. And I'm like, oh, I got so many questions, and this is going to go on for how long it goes on. So hopefully you don't have a hard stop at the next 15 minutes.
No, I don't.
So I want to talk briefly about, because I moved around a little bit as a kid, but I had, the core family, and there were always other friends from my dad's work that, I kind of knew. When you moved here and I do agree, especially kind of Concord County can be very cliquey, especially that age, which is such a wonderful age.
Yes, it's a tough age.
So you moved from Hawaii, where you're wearing shorts year round, and it's like It rains every Tuesday afternoon, and it's like you really need umbrellas unless you don't need your hair to get wet. To California, and especially this part of California.
Yes, where it gets freezing cold, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So I moved from Anchorage, Alaska when I was 10 to here, and it was kind of like
opposite.
Yeah, but I also was born in Bakersfield, so it was kind of extremes. But again, it's like, and it's not only at least then it was still kind of the West Coast, whereas Hawaii is not.
Well, I mean, it's very west.
well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
It's even for west. We had to move east. We had to move east to move to California.
But it's so that culture when you showed up on day one must have been kind of, and plus now all the cliques are already formed, and so you had to figure out how to wedge your way in. What gave you the thought process to really kind of work as a 10-year-old, to kind of try to work your way in? Or was it just kind of one of those things where you went, oh, I guess I got to figure it out?
Well, there's a few things. I think I have a certain character. So I said I was introverted and shy, and I'm also driven. And I love learning, and I love personal development and professional development, even as a young age. I mean, I read Think and Grow Rich and the Magic of Thinking Big in high school. That my mom said I was reading by the time I was 3 years old. So I'm a big bookworm. I'm a huge learner. And so, and I like interesting, smart people, but I like all types of people as well. And so part of it was my desire to grow and what I wanted to do. And part of it was also having a lovely mom, a beautiful mom.
And
one of my best friends.
Yes.
She and my sister and I went to the Valkyries game last night, which was a lot of fun. So much fun. If you haven't been to a Valkyries game, I highly recommend it. Super fun. And so my mom always did a great job of helping me helping nudge and shove me outside of my comfort zone.
Okay.
So she was always like, let's do this. Let's go here. Like join the, all of that. So my mom helped nudge, but after a certain time, she didn't have to nudge me because I had my interest and I'm like, oh, I want to try this. I want to try that. And things like that.
Well, and you got comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Because I know one of the hardest things is, and I still hate it when I go to a networking event. My presentation I do, it's like the first thing I say is, I hate networking. I find once I get there, it's just the lead up to it. It's like, like when we were at the Mega Mixer. I was like, I brought my wife with me because that was like my little, comfort blanket, oh, me too,
Yeah. Well, I always recommend networking with a buddy. It's the best. Yes. It is. There, and we can add strategy to it. Mm-hmm. And the number one thing is it gives you a home base. It gives you that confidence, like, oh, I'm not here alone. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, so that was, well, thank you.
I also, if you notice, I brought people, I came with people too.
Well, you do that everywhere you go networking. So it's like, if I see you, usually you got an entourage of people that you dragged along. And I've been doing that with students for some of the first coffees over at, which I like. Okay, so we did that. I was just curious about that. So it sounds like you got a really good, early on, an opportunity to do, everything from like the first time you fell off your bicycle, you were encouraged to get back on it type of thing, and plus a love of books and all that stuff. And it helps us get through that, oh my gosh, I hate this. I don't want to do it. And then you suck it up and out the door, and then you become comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're back to your touring with the Blue Devils, which I didn't even know that. I'm like going, oh my gosh, because I do know who they are, and it's just like, that's super impressive.
Yes, it's very cool. And they've been in some really cool music videos. Like they've been in a BTS video. They've been in a number of different things, and they also provide the sound. They provide the sound for Niner Noise, is the Concord Blue Devils. I forget how many professional teams, but I think it's like 13 different professional teams across the nation. They provide the music. So there's the horns and drums, and then they have the color guard.
Right. So you did that, and you landed here at DVC, and you were taking lots of dance classes because you were in love with dance. Which
I was a business major.
Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit.
I also took many accounting classes. Okay. Hey, fun.
Numbers and dance. Which one was more fun? So what else was, besides having this amazing dance program, which I know we do have a really good dance program. We have a lot of great programs here. Yep. So were there other things about DVC that you remember from that time period, or?
Yes. Well, I was intent on transferring to my dream school. And so I wanted to take the curriculum in order to get me into a 4-year. And big reveal, my dream school was UCLA, and that's the only school I applied to, and luckily they accepted me because of my fine education from Dabble Valley College.
That's right. Okay? We do have one of the highest transfer rates in the state. And
so I was intent. So I took, I don't know what kind of math classes I took. I remember I took computers and Lotus 1, 2, 3. Okay. Not to date myself, but oops, I just did.
I remember that.
You take English and history. I took some great English classes here. And I absolutely, there was one professor, and I wish I could remember her name, but she was a history professor, and we had to do an oral history. And so she actually had been a professor at a UC, but one of the things about UCs is there also research and all that. And she wanted to focus on actually educating and not on research. So she came to teach at DVC. So I was one of the benefactors of that because I got her as a professor here at DVC. And she was definitely a hard teacher. Like we had, all of our tests were like written, like we had to write in those blue books back in the day.
You did, right? You couldn't write.
It wasn't multiple choice or anything like that. And really for me as a education-based person, one of the things I did well in high school too, but high school was kind of but DVC and college in general and UCLA, it allows you to think. and apply the knowledge that you learn. So that I love that. So she had us do this oral history, and I went out to Stockton to interview my great aunt Jean, who was she grew up in the Great Depression, had some recollection of that. And I captured this oral history and it just was a moved over to a life experience as well as a history lesson and all of that. So just, really had incredible, great professors here at DVC. And one of the other things that I did at DVC, I took a speech class.
Oh, who was your speech teacher? Do you remember?
Neil Glines.
Okay.
And who is now a dean at Solano Community College. So shout out to Neil. And he recruited me to the DVC speech and debate team.
Oh, okay.
And I participated on the DVC speech and debate team, and we went to nationals, and I competed in parliamentary debate and persuasive speaking. And I got third place in both at nationals.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have
some good team. I mean,
we still do. I mean,
yes.
we have a phenomenal program now, and again, it goes back to that what a great program that is, and people don't, well, it's just DVC, it's community college, and it's like the fact is I think we won last year in 2025, or maybe it was 24. We won nationals.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but again, it's like it's that same, and I can tell you that that's a lot of where you've gotten your articulation and your ability to kind of like research and that ability to present.
It was fantastic. Yeah. Yes. It got me on my path.
Yes. So, okay. So you went to UCLA, which Tom Martin in our office will be very happy to hear, because he's a UCLA grad. If you say Cal or if you say USC, it's like,
you don't.
No. Matter of fact, I encouraged one of the young folks that come through our call. I said, you should apply to USC. Just, and Tom was like, all right. But, so you went down to UCLA. What was that experience like? Because you really had a wonderful experience going up to that point. Now you're moving away from home, but at the same time, you've been traveling all the time. So it's just kind of probably not as much of a shock.
Well, okay. I have several things to say about this.
Okay.
So one of the things about going to Diablo Valley College, and just I think a community college in general, is you have people in all aspects of life. And one of the things that happens when you go to junior college is you have to pay for life, right? So a lot of people are here and they're also working full time. And working full time it can pull your attention away from school, because let's face it, having money is nice.
Paying your bills,
able to
eating.
have a roof over your head and pay for food is good. And so it can be really challenging to stick it out through community college to get to that 4-year. And so when I went to UCLA, and granted, the kids that go straight from high school to college, they worked hard too, right? And there's something to be said for getting right into that college. And there's a different perspective when you've had that experience of life, and then enter that 4-year. And I think that perspective really made me appreciate it even more. And it also made me a little wiser than our average, new students.
Yeah.
And we can talk about some of those stories offline maybe as well. But just, knowing how to get around. Now, one of the things I will tell you, and this is also a networking tip, is that before you go, find out who has some information and some experience that can give you some tips on entering and what do you need to know? So one of the things, my mom connected me with a friend who went to UCLA and was in a sorority. And so we went and had salads, lunch one day here in town over at Sun Valley Mall. And she told me about rushing sororities. So prior to going, I knew about this. And so I entered Rush and I was able to get into a sorority, and a great sorority that I loved. And it gave me a family within a huge, ginormous campus.
Well, you brought up a great thing. Is like when you're moving from, and not to say that, I mean, you got to experience that showing up after, a little bit being gone, as you showed up here at the campus, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, where the heck am I? Well, and it's, no, and that's where it's like I said, the numbers.
Where do I go? What do we do?
And it's just like,
where do I find this?
Yeah. And that's understandable. Mm-hmm. But then I've also been to the UCLA campus for other reasons that it's like, wow. I mean, it is huge, and campus. It's going from Clayton Valley to here, and then moving on to that, which is basically like a medium-sized city.
Yes.
You were, the idea of finding a community immediately to support you before you even got there, I think is brilliant. So,
yes.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted. I absolutely agree with that. It's just having a little community that you can reach out to as you move up the food chain in life and through situations is so much easier than just being thrust out into the world all by your lonesome.
Yes. And when you're away from your family, your support system, having people who care about you and that you can go to and be like, how do I find this? Or where do I go for that? Or
I'm having a bad day.
And go to Froyo, because that's what you do in LA. You go to Froyo.
Yes, it is.
So, but you have that support system, and you can find it in different ways. But for me, the sorority route was perfect for me. And I'll tell you, those women were impressive. Just who they were and their ability to just take the lead and forge ahead, and just their backgrounds were incredible. And I will tell you, like, the average GPA of a sorority woman was much higher than just a general pop.
Oh, really?
Woman. Okay. Because you have study buddies and you have someone to help you, like, find your classes and who to study with and what to know about different classes. So they give you that support, and you always have someone to study with. In our sorority house, we had a library and people were always studying there, or people would go to the library together. One of the many libraries on the campus. There were several libraries on the campus.
Yeah, it's a huge environment.
Yes. So, but you had someone to help navigate that. And I mean, there were a lot of, go-getter types in the, all types, but pretty ambitious folks. And I will tell you, also spotted another, junior college transfer at dinner one night at my sorority, because, we're having dinner at the sorority house with a big table of ladies, and they had these big pitchers of water, and someone said, pass me. So Cohen passed me the water, and my one friend, Alana, she swipes up that big pitcher of ice water and backhands it and pours it. Well, she put herself through college being a waitress. And so I'm like, I see your life experience. It's just, so there's all kinds that come together when we're in college. And we all have our own paths to get there. And it's just, I found it extremely valuable and enriching, that experience.
Well, I do.
Good education.
Oh, well, yeah, you got that too. But I think one of the things that, especially the going away to college experience, when one is prepared for, because sometimes kids get out of the nest too soon, or they're just not prepared, because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, like we were saying before we started, it's like nobody teaches you how to go networking.
Right.
And you kind of pick up the skills as you go along, which I did, and then eventually I went through a couple of workshops and stuff. And certainly you gave me a couple of good, tips, and we're about to get some more, hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I find amazing, is that there's some basic life skills that you don't really get. Now, if you go to someplace like here, like DVC, one, you kind of learn those things, like, for instance, waiting tables or working in retail. I think everybody should do that once in their life.
Exactly. Everyone should have a sales job.
Yes. And and you learn how to deal with people because there's all sorts of people. So, all right. So you get through UCLA, you'll walk, right? Or do you have any other good stories, about?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there are plenty of stories, but I think we're good.
Okay. So you walk, you graduate from UCLA. Did you immediately come back here to the Bay Area?
I did.
Okay.
Yes. So I called my mom my senior year in college and asked her if I could join her in her business because I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do? And I'm like, I just had the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm like, I just can't work for the man. That's not in my DNA. Right. So, so I just had that entrepreneurial spirit. And so I went straight into residential real estate sales, became a realtor right out of college.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got that bug bit, and that's a tough, that is also a tough industry. It can be a very tough industry over the years. It is. I know I talked to during the,
I've never had a paycheck. I've been 100% commission my entire career.
That takes a lot of nerve. And I know it does, because it is like there's a lot of, you are completely 100% dependent on what you go grind out.
Absolutely.
I know that I talked to somebody, a realtor, Maxine Chan, that was it.
Oh, I know Maxine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. Everybody knows Maxine. I love Maxine. But she was the one that told me something that when the dot-com bubble burst, she said that was really good for professional real estate people because it got rid of all what she put as soccer moms.
Yes.
The not professionals, which I can see that is, she found it rather a struggle to be working both sides of a deal to make sure that it was legal, So.
And actually, to that point, I'm speaking at the local realtors marketing meeting on September 16th, and I'm going to be talking about that, about my experience being in that time period where I had, a bunch of things in escrow. I had a pipeline of clients, and overnight it all went away.
Yeah.
And it's really that power of decision of like, I decided that I am a realtor and this is what I want to do. And I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm not going to look for a job. I'm not going to get a side hustle. I am going to continue to sell real estate. And I ended up, because of the network that I had built, I ended up, doing well, gaining market share and all of that and coming out of it. And another one of my priorities was to keep my house. So as a single woman homeowner, and keeping my house during that time period on 100% commission.
Okay.
And I did that.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I'm very proud of.
Yeah, I think you should. We should get you a badge or something.
I know.
No, I mean, because it's a big deal. Anybody that's worked their whole life 100% commission that's a tough gig to especially in real estate, because there are all of the ups and downs.
Right.
I know, who's it? I was talking to Bob Lilly, and everybody knows Bob Lilly. We're going to talk about
Lisa better, but
yeah. I mean, but he talked about that when we did a podcast with him, and he talked about that he was a realtor until one day it's like, oh shoot, it's like and that was the 08, 09, 10 crush, which was, and he ended up having to get something else for a little bit. He went back to his union roots, but I didn't even know he was an electrician before he was a realtor. So,
archived somewhere.
Oh yeah. Well, we talked about it, and that was kind of how the whole thing came about. So anyway, so you got into real estate, and you were building your network.
Yes.
And tell us about, and we're going to get to networking tips in a minute. I want a lot of it kind of containerized at the end so we can chop this up and send it off into the world.
Things.
Well, yeah, you're much more formalized about, I don't want to say formalized. You're much more intent, or I'm trying to think of the word, but
strategic, intentional.
Well, intentional, and much more intentional about the way you network. A lot of it was stuff that I've learned or I've seen, and I just kind of do it. I'm not as intentional about it. It's like you figured out this works, and so you mechanize it, if that makes sense. So you're building your network. I know you came out one time. We did the goofy golf over there, Grayson Woods, which was interesting. That was a weird course, but
it was a strange course.
Yeah. And I watched over the years as you built your network. What are some of the strategies that you've used? Okay, wait a minute. We're going to get back to that. I'm super. Some of this might get cut out. So one of the things is at some point, you started doing more than just selling real estate, because at some point you started doing B&I, networking, stuff like that, and consulting with helping people build their own business.
So when I started in real estate, one of the things they do is they tell you, call everyone you know and let them know you're in the business, and, start, building a database and a network. And of course, I'm straight out of college, and my friends are either still in college, just out of college, maybe they're in law school. I'm like, hey, do you want to buy or sell a house? And they're like, that's hilarious. So I had to go out and meet new people. And I did, of course, keep my friends, but I needed to meet more people. And so what do they do what do people say when you need to go meet people for business? They go, we'll go to the chamber. Right? Mm-hmm. And so I remember going to a very crowded, very busy, hugely packed Walnut Creek Chamber of Commerce mixer. And when I first walked in, I had those butterflies, right? Because you're walking into a room full of strangers, and these weren't kids; these were grown adults, right? With their business suits
on.
Big people, right?
Yeah, I still get that way. It's like, oh, geez,
it's all these adults.
Yeah.
But adults are just big kids when you find out about them, really.
Yeah. True.
And the ones that are like serious adults were already serious adults as kids.
Yeah. Actually, you can ask my wife about that. She's like, "Oh, you're not serious." So, anyways,
not serious.
Yeah.
So one of the things, because of all my experience with the Blue Devils and with cheerleading and dance team and just all the and the debate team and all the things that I did, is I really found that when I teamed up with other people who had similar goals, similar work ethic, similar, they had a likeness of mind, I could go further than I ever imagined on my own. I mean, performing in stadiums in front of tens of thousands of people, shy little me, who would know that would happen? But I did it because I had a team by my side. And what I learned is that team works in business as well. And you can see that like successful people, they have a network. They know people, and it's just like, and I'll just say this other little thing, like, people talk about an overnight success. Usually it takes at least 10 years to become an overnight success, right? It's like it takes that time, and then all of a sudden you hit critical mass.
Well, that was the thing they said about Adele that used to irritate her. Oh, you're an overnight success. No, I've been singing for 10 years.
I've been around forever.
Yeah.
But we see it. I mean, if you look at Oprah showed us all her friends. I mean, that's how we know Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz and Gail and everybody, right? Like we know the whole squad, because it takes a team. So we as individuals, no matter what our business is, we can have our own team. We can have our own network. And so you get to decide who you want on your team and in your network, in what you're doing and what and where you want to go, and like who do you need to know that can help you get to where you want to go. So
when you're, and we're going to go down this rabbit hole because this is, I think, a very important point that I want to explore a little bit. So when you're, and I agree, it's like having, as you get older, I'll say, unlike you. I think I'm a little more chronologically advanced than you. But one of the things is, if we get older, we get to a point where we have kind of, because we've lived long enough, we've met enough people to where, I mean, my thing was, and one of the reasons I was a pretty good chamber guy was because I knew a guy or I knew a gal.
Yes.
So people would come to me and say, hey, such and such. Oh, hey, I know somebody. Let's call so-and-so.
Yeah.
but it took a while and I wasn't as intentional. That was the word I was looking for intentional
Yes.
about doing that. I kind of naturally did that.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I think I've always admired about you is you were much more intentional about things I just kind of didn't take. Well, no, I didn't. I just kind of took it to granted. And I just, and that's where I was like, oh no, we have to have you on. So as you're going along, because you brought up a point about building your team up. But you're also talking about how important networking with the right people. How do you go about, and I don't want to really call it a selection process, but how do you go about building those, you don't walk up immediately and go, hey, you want to be part of my team, but what's that process look like for building somebody into your network and like not using them, but having them be part of your, team family?
Well, for me, in real estate, so let me back up just to give some people an idea of where to start. First of all, I didn't start at the chamber. I actually started within my industry, in my industry profession. And let me tell you, everything that is out there is an association for. So it doesn't matter what you do, there is an association, an industry professional association that you can join. And one of the great things about joining your profession, so I joined, of course, becoming a realtor, you're automatically part of the board. And I went to what we call CCRIM here locally is the Contrast of Realtors in Motion, which is the Walnut Creek marketing meeting for realtors, which brings real estate people from all different offices, plus all the affiliates. So you have lenders and title and home inspectors and all the different people in that one space. And then I also joined the Women's Council Realtors. So those were like CCRIM and Women's Council Realtors were my two first networks that I joined because that was the industry. And what that does is it gives you more expertise. It gives you education. You get to talk shop. When I joined the Women's Council of Realtors, brand new agent, the average Women's Council of Realtors member had been in real estate 17 years on average.
Goodness.
Right? And earned more than twice that of an average realtor. And so I was hanging around people who had industry knowledge and experience, and I could hear how they talked about the business. And so it increased my, off ramp or on ramp or whatever you call it, right? It increased my learning curve, right? So I was up to speed faster. Because there's a lot to learn in the real estate industry. I'm sure whatever industry you're in, there's a lot to learn. So by being around those people and getting that education, it helped me be a better expert and helped me serve my clients at a higher level sooner, faster, and know more and be an expert faster. So a great place to start is your industry association. And from there, you get an idea of what kind of things do you do in your industry? How do you get clients or whatever that is that you need to learn? So in the real estate industry, you always need to get clients. So then I started branching out, went to the chamber and knowing, so part of my strategy is I wanted to do business through relationship and referral. And I wanted to team up with people who had a level of integrity. So they were referable, right? And that I could trust them that when I referred one of my clients, they would do well by me and they would do well by my clients, right? So they would increase the value. And in any real estate transaction, there's on average like 19 different professionals that like participate in a real estate
20
transaction.
people with a finger in the pie.
You've got all these different people. And most of them, like you have no control over, but the buck stops here. Okay. So you want to have relationships with people who affect your business. And you want to serve your clients. So part of it is one of my mentors, Dr. Ivan Meisner, who's the founder of BNI, Business Network International, he talks about the networking disconnect. So a lot of people, especially business owners. They're like, I need clients. And people go, oh, go to the chamber. So they go to the chamber and they're looking to get clients. But have you ever been to a networking event saying, oh, I want to buy something. I want to find a life insurance agent and buy some life insurance. No, people don't go to buy, but everyone goes to sell. So what are we doing? We're making connections. We're building relationships so we can collaborate and we can connect and we can help each other. So I wanted to find people that I could reliably count on to help my clients when they were going through their real estate transaction as well as their life. So I needed, of course, home inspectors and title people and mortgage people and things like that. But I also needed estate planning attorneys and real estate attorneys and insurance agents and financial advisors and of course, the guy that fixes the fences and they like who cleans the gutters.
And
right?
the guy you can call on Tuesday and the inspection's tomorrow. It's like, hey, you gotta come fix this and this. Yeah.
So I needed all those people. So by my profession and understanding my profession at a higher level, because I was part of my industry associations, I was able to see who I could use and collaborate with in business and connect with, and who I needed to meet. Okay. So that's who I'm going to meet at the chambers and the other events. Is I'm looking for people that I can partner with.
So you just articulated that way better than any. That was always a frustration of mine. Was they'd show up? It's like, well, I didn't get anything out of it. Well, okay, you came to one event, you stood over in the corner, you didn't talk to anybody else, and of course, nobody hired you. They didn't even know who you were.
Right.
So
you have to talk. You have to meet.
You got to talk. You got to go up. But that that rather than walking out going, you need to buy me.
Yes.
Hey, what can we do together?
Yes.
It's like that attitude. I haven't heard it articulated. I love that. I'm stealing it, by the way. You get first credit. So the other thing too, and I think this is something that you've alluded to, but I'd love to hear you just talk about this is a thing that takes time. Yes. It takes an enormous amount of time. And I don't mean just like a month. It takes,
There's no overnight successes, people.
Yes.
Relationships take time. Trust takes time. And it can happen fast and slow at the same time. Okay. So sometimes you go to an event and something sparks and business happens immediately. But you can't go with that expectation. You have to go with expectation that you're planting seeds and you're developing relationships. And you also have to be strategic about the next step. So we all know the fortune's in the follow-up, okay? So if you go to the networking event and then you never do anything with those relationships that you started, then you've wasted your time. So so success in any realm, when you're especially talking about business, there's a component of consistency. So if I am going to, mail to my database, the more consistent I am, the more success I have. If I'm going to post on social media, the more consistent I am, the more successful I will be, right? So if you show up over and over, the more successful you will be. So consistency in showing up and doing the activities is part of it, and relationships over time. And you build that trust over time by being there. Consistency in showing up helps make the relationships develop easily or more easily. And because I'm intentional, right?
Yes, we talked about that just now.
It's not just showing up for the group events. You've got to get to know people one-to-one. Like we're sitting down one-to-one. We are going to be more connected and feel a deeper level of relationship now that we've had this one-to-one sit down, even though we're sharing our sit down with everybody else.
Well, yes. But, and to that point though, and we're going to talk about some of the BNI, because there's aspects of BNI I love. I was just never able to get involved because it didn't make sense with what I'm doing.
It's not for everyone.
But one of the things, so I mean, like a good example of that is in some ways we are conducting a one-on-one, but
Yes.
it's like the Blue Devils saying, I never knew that about you,
Yes.
and it's like, I'm going to remember that now. But it's that the other thing too is, and this is one of the things I teach, folks when I'm doing a networking classes, the next day, shoot them an email. Shoot them a text, something, and then follow up again, just say, hey, I'd love to get together for a cup of coffee. Do have more than one cup of coffee with them if it's appropriate.
Right.
If they say buzz off, then all right, we'll try some other time.
Well, so yes, all of those things. And when you meet, I always say like, well, first of all, there's lots of ways to connect afterwards. And one of the easiest ways is, like you said, shoot them an email, a text, and also LinkedIn, right? Because that's an easy way to connect. So, and that's like the start. But like you said, we need to actually build the relationship. So sitting down for a coffee meeting is really advisable. And I always say that first coffee meeting is to find out if you want to have another one. Right?
Oh, this is like dating, isn't it?
It's
been a while.
Like
it's been a while since I've dated, but
it's kind of like business dating, right?
Yeah.
It's like you want to find out, like, is this someone that I want to invest some time with, right? And different relationships take different paths and timelines as well. So when you do it for some time, you'll, sometimes you get a little start and then things fade off, and then you see each other again, and then things get rekindled. And then sometimes you just meet someone and you just start being consistent and things go great. So people are people, so they're always peopling.
Okay.
So some people are coming and going and they're still figuring things out and this and that. And I always think it's a good policy to give people grace to grow. Right. And so, be intentional. So like if I met someone who I thought would be, because of what they did and some of the initial things that I heard, them say, I'm like, oh, this might be a good potential person that I want to stay connected to. Then I have the one-to-one, find out more about them. So I'm actually finding out about them, which is really important to ask good questions and find out, like, what is it that you need to know? Right. So what do you want to know about them? That's going to help you decide if you want to, put them in your inner circle.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Put them in your little tribe, your team.
Yes. Right. So, and then being intentional to follow up and stay consistent, things like that.
So we touched briefly on BNI, and we haven't even gone halfway down the transition from real estate to where you're at now.
Right.
Let's get back to that briefly.
I can do that.
Well, yeah. Well, no, you're going to be better at this than I am. You're starting better than me. And then I do want to talk about BNI and all sorts of, and some of the wonderful things I've seen out of it, because there are some amazing things that BNI, they kind of force you to do. But I think that's the thing, is they make you intentional about your networking.
Yeah. So
well, let's talk about your journey the rest of the way, and then we'll get to BNI.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, part of my journey includes BNI.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, then I'll stop talking. I'll let you go.
We'll just tie it all together.
Yes.
So I was in the junior league, which I don't know if you've heard the junior league, Oakland East Bay, but it's an organization to help women serve on nonprofit boards. And so it's kind of the training ground. And they are a legit nonprofit themselves. They
also
support
have scholarships and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah. So they support children's education and things like that. So I was in the junior league, and as a realtor, I was on a committee, and there was a mortgage gal, and we just connected. We're like, hey. And so we started networking together. And one day she's like, I met this guy, because she was at an event and I was at a different event. So we were connecting and saying, we divided in Concord, right? And so we're connecting, and she's like, I met this guy, and he said that we can build our own business referral group. Do you want to do that? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm in. Let's do this. So she and I went and visited a BNI chapter, is what that was. Okay. And so we saw it and we're like, yeah, we want to do that. So we started a BNI chapter. So our BNI and so BNI is the world's largest
Business Networking International.
Business Network International, BNI.com, BNISFBay.com for those of us here in Contra Costa, local. And it's one person per profession for the purposes of generating and passing referrals as business colleagues. And so we built our BNI chapter, and through that building process was great because you got to say, hey, do you want to grow your business? Come with us. We're building a group.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to do a lot of networking and building my network through the inviting process of bringing people to the group. And here's the thing about business. The more people you know and talk to, the more opportunities happen. So it didn't matter if they joined or not. I mean, obviously we had goals that we wanted to accomplish to grow the group. And just by talking to more people and giving them that opportunity to at least come and visit or talk about it, it expanded my network.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was actually part of my strategy to grow my real estate business. And BNI is actually a strategy, a marketing strategy for your business. And they kind of make it as easy as possible to plug and play and do it, but you have to do it. Okay. So one of the things, because I'm intentional,
Mm-hmm.
there's a few things that I wanted to create in my chapter. So different chapters have different vibes. Okay. They have different, characters. Each one is different. And for me, one of the things that was really important is that every person who walked in that door felt welcomed, because guess what? I remember what it's like to walk into a room full of strangers and feel like an outsider. So that was one of my intentions, to make sure everyone walking through the door felt welcome. We are humans, and so I can't control everybody else and what they do, but we can create a culture that hopefully creates a warm environment. The other thing is we wanted to be intentional that this was for business, and we wanted to grow the business. So we did that through, of course, always having new people walk through the door, always having new people, and tapping into education because that strengthened our understanding of how to work the BNI system and how to work referrals for our business and how to better market us through word of mouth. So that education and that focus, like we are here for business, and, we have certain standards in that regard. And we didn't accept anyone who walked through the door if they wanted to apply. We actually vetted them because we wanted people who we could count on as referable. So
we're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
Okay. And we will be right back.
Okay.
So
when are we doing that interview?
I would. That would be awesome. Anyways, okay. So sorry about, okay. And we are back. So sorry to break things up a little bit.
No, it's okay.
So we were talking about BNI. So we were on to, you started in BNI, and you were talking about some of the aspects of that.
Yes. I kind of went on a little BNI explanation.
Let's keep going, because the thing is again, like I said, I find some of the things that they do, again, because you're intentional, it worked out really well for you. And that's why I'm like, I could totally see this, But anyways, go ahead.
Well, part of the thing about BNI is, and anything in life, is what you put into it, you will get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you just show up and you're just like clock in, clock out, you're not going to get all the benefits. So you do have to be intentional. And I think people sometimes think about it as an entity, but it's really about their business and how they're marketing their business and the relationships they're building. So I could go on for days, but it really is about how you are growing your business and what you want for your business, and using that network as a conduit to get you in front of the right people and to help you grow your business. So it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for everyone. It really works well for local service-based businesses. But yeah, and a variety of people.
So, oh yes, and I agree. So I know that Wade has been in it for like ever.
Yes.
And he's a big proponent of it. You are. There's several other people I know, that have been in it for quite a while.
Yes.
So talk about just some of the basic mechanics, because I think there's certain things that even if they can't join a BNI now,
yes,
there's aspects of what BNI does, like they kind of, again, because it's very intentional what you do, there's like the one-on-one, there's the, everybody gets an ad, all this stuff. So talk a little bit about that, because I think that's very interesting.
So the number one thing is to show up.
Wait a minute. That's cheating.
So I know it sounds obvious, and you will find that people don't always show up.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to show up in order to get the benefits. You have to show up in order to build the relationships and build the trust and to be known for your thing, for your
showing
business, right? For showing up. And how you show up matters. So remember being intentional. I'm just going to go total head on this.
Go.
But so one of the things that I decided, especially in my early years, as I was trying to establish myself as the expert and looking like I was 16 still, because I was straight out of college and definitely a lot younger than your typical realtor, is I wanted to create a professional image. So I always wore suits to BNI because you want to dress for the type of business that you want and based on your profession and things like that. So you want to dress like the business owner. Now that I'm older, I can show my Hawaiian shirt every now and again. But if I was at BNI, I'd be wearing a jacket on this and heels. Okay. So it's also that professional image, because when you are in business, you are your brand. Okay. Especially if you're a solo, or even if you just have a small team, maybe 10 employees, and you're the leader of your organization, you are the brand. So what is that image that you want to portray? And one of the things when you're talking about business by relationship and referral, how you show up matters. If you slide in after the meeting starts and you're, wearing your sweatpants and then you're on your phone and then you leave before the meeting's over, like that's a different reputation, even if, so people will expect that. So if I'm going to refer this person, so you don't want the disclaimer like, I have someone that can help you, but they may not show up. They might be late. I apologize. Like, you don't want to give that disclaimer. So when you show up, you want to represent your brand accordingly. Okay. What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for being, a giver and a generous person and kind and an expert? Or do you want to be, someone who is unethical? You have choices. These are your options. I mean, you have the choice. You could do what you want. Okay. So number one, show up, and then show up as that professional, that type of business that you want. So I know that was total basic, but sometimes we have to say these things, dress for the business that you want and the clientele that you want. And then, one of the ways to get better trust and relationship is to have the one-to-one meetings. So in BNI, they do track certain things. They track the referrals that you give. They track the one-to-ones. They track your education, your continuing education units that are BNI focused, referral focused. They track your thank you for closed business. So that's when so say I gave you business and you got business and you got the sale, you would thank me, and then I would get the dollars in my column at BNI because I produced that revenue for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we track revenue. So that lets us know that what we're doing is working. But the fastest way to give and receive referrals is to show up Be there in the entire time, network, build relationship, and do the one-to-ones and be curious. Like, so what is your ideal client and how can I help you? And all those things, and get to know them, and then be able to speak well of that person. And how do I promote you? How do I say the things to be able to generate business for you? And how do you say the things that you can generate business for me? And that's the power of the word of mouth, right? Because I can say, hey, Charlie, I am amazing. Okay. You'll be like,
Awesome.
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. But if Wade tells you, Charlie, Miley's amazing, you're like, oh, she must be amazing.
Yeah.
So that third party endorsement does matter. We can say, I'm the best. And when someone else says, you're the best, it means a whole different thing. It has a lot more meaning behind it. So we want to be able to do that for others as well as others do that for us.
There's a program, and I just put that on my. So there's what's called the NPS score, which is can't remember what
Net
NPS.
promoter score.
Yes, and thank you. And the number one part of that is, would you recommend this to a friend?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that speaks a lot, and that's pretty much what the one-to-one does. Is, can I give the elevator pitch? Not that necessarily, but can I say what this person does with confidence, and can I recommend this person over here?
Absolutely.
Because that is, you get a high net promoter score and all that good stuff. But yeah, it just occurred to me that that's what that was about. But no, that's one of the things that I think is very important, that I think a lot of people, okay, now what do I do? We'll go get coffee, and it's like stare at each other, or
but how are you going to actually talk about each other, and how are you going to find each other business? Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, the magic of BNI is, okay, and this is for any networking. It doesn't matter if you're in BNI or not, but you show up to an event, and sometimes I've seen people, they're like, oh, there's only like 12 people here. Guess what? Those people know people. So it's not just who is in the room, it's also who they know, right? So how many people how many connections do you have on LinkedIn? How many connections do I have on LinkedIn? So it's, and they say, a typical person has a sphere of influence of 250 people. And nowadays, of course, with the social media, most of us know far more than 250 people, but we really have influence with 250 people. Okay. So even if, there's only 12 people in the room, it's 12 times 250 is the actual opportunity that's in the room. And so it's not about selling to the room, it's selling through the room.
I like that visual, selling through the room. You get that too. So I'm going to steal it though. But no, it occurred to me, because I think one of the things,
I didn't invent that. I'm pretty sure Dr. Ivan Meisner said that.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go, but you get first credit for it. So one of the things is, I know for me, one of the more intimidating things is going to like the mega mixer, because you meet a ton of people. One of the things that used to drive me nuts at chamber mixers is, that you'd have the person with all their brand new cards. They stand at the gate doing this, right? Handing out cards. And it's like, I tell folks, and like, don't ever do that.
Yes.
Everyone will hate you. And unless you're giving away a coupon for free money,
right?
don't. But I'm now thinking about, like, the 12-person mixer would actually be more productive.
Yeah, because you can get to know people deeper.
Yes, you'd have a moment. You stand there and talk to them for more than a few minutes.
You want to do both. You want to have a wide network, and you want to have a deep network, right? So you want to know people really well, and you want to know a lot of people. So it's both and.
So when you were in real estate, because you're not, and somehow we'll get back on track, and that doesn't matter. So now
I coach realtors.
Well, and that's what we're going to get to. So, but how much time? Because so like when times are hot and you're selling houses, you know, it's like you're busy doing listings and following up and going to closings and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But you're also continuing to build your network, because it's really easy to get distracted by all the things that are going to write you a check today.
Oh, this is so important.
Yes.
Absolutely. So when you are in business, you always have to have clients. Okay. So your number one number one thing is to keep bringing clients in the door. So one of the biggest challenges most business owners have, especially newer business owners, is the roller coaster revenue, right?
Mhm.
Because what happens is they're like, oh, I need clients. So they do this flurry of activity, right? They're going to the chamber, they're posting on social, they're calling people, emailing, they're like getting the word out. They're doing all this marketing and sales activity, right? And so because they do all this activity, then they start to get clients. And they're like, yay, clients. Because most people got into business not to be in sales and marketing, but to actually, help someone with their expertise. So they get to work with the client, and then they stop doing all the stuff that got them the client. So that's why, remember when I talked about consistency earlier? This is why it's so important. It's because even when you have a big client load, you have to consistently bring in new clients and keep that pipeline full. Okay. And one of the easiest ways to do that is through relationship marketing, because the more you do it, it's like compound interest in a way, right? Because the better I know you, the easier it is for me to refer you, right? And then I just have to be reminded of what I already know. I don't have to start from scratch. So, for example, one of my best referral partners is Deanne Hayes, owner of Ink It Up Designs. And one of the things I love about Deanne, we met early on in BNI. So we've known each other for over 2 decades. and and she actually used to own what we call a brick and mortar, which is an actual business with a building in downtown Walnut Creek. She owned the frame shop. And then she sold the frame shop and started promotional products. And so one of the great things is because I've known her so long, I know her work ethic. I know, I use her all the time for my own promotional products. I refer her all the time. It's easy for me to talk about her, and I know what she does and her capabilities. So I was on one of my WhatsApp groups with all the presidents from the National Speakers Association. And someone was like, we need a banner. And I said, okay. So not only did so it can be fun too, because I get to help my friend Deanne get business. So of course I put a little message like, call Deanne. And then I found a photo of the banner that we ordered through her for our chapter and posted that. So there's a visual, and I went that extra step because I know her, but it was easy for me to do because I knew what to do and I had that knowledge of her. And so she's able to get that business.
So again,
So
you did
that's
very intentional.
yes.
And I just referred because it's like one of the things I've always liked is being the, hey, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Right. Do you need to answer that?
No.
Okay. So I've always liked the, hey, I know a guy. Hey, I know a guy. But
Yes.
it's invariably because I know that person. Like, for instance, you want to talk about computers, I'll give way to call.
Yes.
Right. You want to talk about blanket on his name. They don't come to me, but, want to talk about this service or that service. And it's like, oh, I know a guy or I know a gal. I know, hey, who you need to call is.
Yes.
You're much more intentional about it in that.
Yeah.
And because you've known her for quite a while and very familiar, even though she doesn't do framing anymore, she
Yes.
does promotional products.
Yeah,
And
but
you've also developed that trust with her.
Yes.
Because you absolutely know that she's going to deliver and take care of it, regardless of what happens.
And so the thing is that I know that I do that for her, and I know she's going to be doing that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what helps our business keep going while we're dealing with, our clients and things like that. And we talk on a regular basis. Okay. So you got to keep that consistency going of letting people know you're in business and building the relationships. But it gets easier because it starts to come more natural and like, oh, I can help people. And it's it's helping others as a way of growing your business.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's that law of reciprocity. If I help you, you'll help me. And that helps small business owners so much that they're not in it alone and that they can have that help from their network to help them source clients and bring clients in.
And it's
Right.
cheaper than a yellow page. Not that there are yellow pages anymore, but
And that dates you, Charlie.
yes. Well, somebody's got it. Anyways,
But yes.
But okay. Well, so let's keep on the journey. But no, I mean, that's a very interesting and very important point, I think, that you make about the need for creating depth and how you create depth in your network.
Mhm.
And it's not just go have one coffee.
Right.
It's like you're always looking for more than one coffee date and looking for building that depth of relationship to where it's like they just come to mind.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if I call you up and say I need promotional materials, you'll go,
DNAs,
Yeah.
Up Designs.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
you probably even have her phone number. Well, not anymore. Nobody has a phone number.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can easily just text
Yeah.
you her info.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Super easy. Yeah. So that's another just side note, like build a database, right?
Do you have a specific database product that you use or?
So the industry terminology is CRM, right?
Mhm.
Client relationship manager, how people say different things for the C's, customer, client. Anyways, that's a piece of software that can store your contacts, and the different ones have different capacities. So it depends on your industry and all the different like bells and whistles that you need and what your purpose is. I actually have a CRM matchmaker. So I have a friend who is like a broker for CRMs. So you can talk to him and then he can help find the right CRM for you.
I would love to talk to him.
Okay.
And
We have to
one,
connect
because
you?
of, yes. Do you know her? So, but no, the reason is so I've used, I mean, at the chamber, we used Access, which is, very powerful and also really miserable.
Yeah.
I then, when I was in Silicon Valley, we used Salesforce. And when it's used properly and when you have an administrator who knows what they're doing,
yes.
it is a beast, but it is really powerful and great.
Yes.
And I haven't really found anything since.
Yes.
And part of it is I want to just get to know them and talk to them a little bit about it. And the other part of it is like somebody who's starting out.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, the easiest thing is just an Excel spreadsheet. Excel
Or a Google
spreadsheet
sheet.
still works,
Yeah.
or a Google sheet still works. Okay. So you can use a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And even when you have a CRM, I always recommend backing it up and having an Excel or Google sheet backup.
Right.
Just because you never know and
Stuff
things
happens.
happen.
Yep.
Shiitake happens.
So,
Okay.
I like that too. Shiitake happens. I remember that one. So, okay. So we got sidetracked slightly by CRM. So
Yes. So
where were we at?
well, I can share that.
Yes.
So I was a realtor for 20 years and made it through the financial crisis and came out the other side in the top 3% of realtors here in the Bay Area. And because I was doing so much and I was doing a lot of volunteering with BNI, I was helping start chapters and I just had a great network. People started asking me to mentor them and to coach them. And I decided I wanted to grow in a different way. I wanted to do more speaking because I hadn't been, doing that much speaking, some speaking, but not that much. I wanted to expand my speaking and I wanted to grow in a different way. So I started my coaching and consulting business in January of 2012. So I've been doing that for 13 years now. So don't do the math, please. But so now I help business owners with their businesses, and I consider myself a business development coach, which is helping with the growth of their business. And I have also launched another company called the Business Acceleration Group, BAG for short. And these are business masterminds intended for those local service-based businesses, 10 or fewer employees who want to grow and scale. So we provide them with proven business and marketing strategies along with the peer support that's so important for business owners to have that. Actually, the person that was calling me was one of our newest members. We just are launching in collaboration with CoBiz Richmond, which is a nonprofit co-working space in Richmond. We're launching our newest mastermind there. And so that was one of our founding members of that mastermind that was calling me. And so this has been really exciting to do that.
And actually, there's some other, because I'm just excited. I can't believe it's taken me so long to reach out to you, but that's actually one of the things that I'd love to get a little bit more information on, because I think that we have these young, and some of them are actually already have businesses or have launched businesses, and they're still here, and I don't mean that but I mean, they're young and kind of, and so I would love to be able to connect them to you and your group and stuff like that.
All right. So we were talking about the Business Acceleration Group Mastermind.
Yes. Tell me about that.
So, like I said, the Business Acceleration Group is for business owners, mostly our local service-based businesses with 10 or fewer employees who are wanting to scale and grow. So we provide them, they are in-person, monthly masterminds, and we provide them with proven business and marketing strategies. And then, of course, along with that, facilitated peer support so they can grow and scale their business. It's really important for business owners. I mean, most people don't have training on how to be a business owner, and
that's right.
No one knows everything. No one knows everything, right? So we need to share in that educational journey of the entrepreneur, and that's one of the things that me and my co-founders want to provide is more of that entrepreneurial support, entrepreneurial education to help business owners to be able to grow and thrive in their businesses. Yeah.
And one of the things is, and I'm just, again, my brain kind of goes about 50 different places, but one of the things that you brought up several times, for instance, BNI, it's in person.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
your Business Accelerator Group. It's in person. I know there's a lot of folks want to do virtual stuff. I'm not a huge fan of it, because the thing is I are old and I like to actually see people. I also think that the Zoom session is good for a lot of stuff, but learning and building a relationship is not one of them. During COVID at my previous job, we had new people come on, and there were people all over the country that I'd never met before except on Zoom. Well, then we had a company-wide meeting and I met them. And first of all, I'd only seen them from here on up. And I've got one guy I met, I thought he might have been 5'6" or 5'7". Turns out he was 6'4". And I was like, wow, you're tall. A very good friend. He works for Austin PD now. But yeah, Joel was like, I was like, oh my God, hey, you're way taller than I thought. And other things. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things if you get these preconceived notions about. And that was one of the things that really struck me as why in person is so important. How do you feel about it? I mean, what do you think it does as far as adding to the magic of building a network?
Well, especially if you're in a group setting, on Zoom, you can only have one conversation. Okay. When you are attending an in-person meeting, you have the time where people are gathering, they're coming into the room. Hey, can I get you a glass of water? And you get that exchange of ideas and the extemporaneous conversations that happen. And you can check in with people and I can go over and say hi to Charlie and say, hey, how did that go with that person I connected you with? And you can have all those little side conversations that are so challenging to do on Zoom. Sure, you can, chat and blah, blah, blah. It's just not the same. So it's there's just a different connection point, and you feel someone's energy.
Yes.
Right? You feel their energy. So being together and experiencing something together creates relationship. And you can create deeper relationships faster. Now, Zoom was fantastic to keep us connected through the time when we were in the lockdown and all that. And, it still serves a purpose because the Bay Area, we do have some pretty serious traffic, and sometimes it's easier to pop on Zoom than to drive across town. So, it's good to have a combination and really for the purpose of growing deep, meaningful relationships and having in-depth conversations as well. Especially with a mastermind, it's really great to have that in person. That session.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Zoom is good for some things. I've done a couple of sessions on Zoom, of podcasts on Zoom. One was with a gentleman, DVC alum, who lives in Guam.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to fly out here to see us. That's pretty much all day. And then, 2 or 3 days to get out here. Another one was a student. She's going to the University of Perth in Australia, and some other folks, trying to think of some of the other places like a number of Australian, Indonesia, things like that. So it can help us connect us worldwide.
Yes.
But I do feel it's a little more superficial unless that's the business you're in, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So you got this mastermind group.
Mm-hmm.
What else have you got going on in the
coaching?
Yes.
So I've got a couple of free workshops coming up called Scale Smarter, the roadmap to time, profit, and freedom. Because so many business owners they're hustling and grinding. And one of the things that we do also in the mastermind group is we help shift the mindset because the way that you get to 6 figures is different than how you get to 7. Because there's a lot of you can grind it out to get that, 6-figure business, but to move to 7 figures and beyond, and building a big, business, you need to have some systems, you need to have some operations, you need to have, people. And so that's what we're doing in the mastermind as well as in my Scale Smarter workshop as well. And there's also a coaching program that goes along with that as well that'll be launching in September. So those are some of the things that I have. And I also, one of my clients is Home Smart Optima Realty with offices in Concord, Antioch, and Fairfield. And I'm the coach for their, 100 agents that they have in those offices. So.
Okay. By the way, we are going to link to this stuff on the podcast and stuff and put it. Well, it's only fair. You're taking time out of your busy day, and sitting with me and chit chatting. So kind of bring it home a little bit. Are there any other networking tips that you would give for somebody like that if they're just getting started? Or if they're maybe, starting out in a new industry or something of that nature?
Like I said, the first step is to go to your industry association because you're going to find a lot of information there that's going to support you. You're going to find out, you're going to be able to be a higher level expert in your own profession because a lot of these associations bring education to you and you talk about what's happening in your industry. So you get that cutting edge information. And of course you make connections within your industry, which is always beneficial. And it also give you an idea where to go next. Because then you'll ask the people in the room, so where should I go? And what do you do? And you can ask people what they're doing and get an idea what you want to do. And then, have some of the networking tool basics. Okay. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date. A lot of people use LinkedIn to connect. So whether you're virtual or in person, a lot of people connect on LinkedIn. Where was I? I was at the WCOE, Women in Construction Owners and Executives event. And a lot of those women were connecting their LinkedIn with their phones, taking their phone out and connecting on LinkedIn instead of just passing business cards. People pass business cards as well. business cards still exist. So get some
Mhm.
business cards. They can come in handy. I'm telling you.
I tell people not to print on the back because I, being the old guy, I always write notes on the back. Because otherwise I'll never remember why I have your yes.
And nowadays, like, it's marketing real estate. So I found a lot of people now have both two-sided cards.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have a little space for someone to write on. So some of those networking basics is having your business cards and having your LinkedIn profile up to date so you can connect and maybe even having a digital card as well. And on LinkedIn, here's a hot tip. Okay. So one of the things about especially if you are in sales or you're a business owner and you're in charge of being the rainmaker and bringing business in, like a lot of times business owners and salespeople are chasing business. They're like, oh, I got to get that business. And you're chasing. And what we want the phones to ring. Right? Mm-hmm. We want business to come to us. And that's exactly what I help my clients with as well is shifting it from chasing to receiving. And so if you want your phone to ring, put your phone number on your LinkedIn profile and on your website.
And on your business card.
Because then people will call you and say, hey, can you help me? And then you can get those phone calls. So, that's part of the relationship business.
I don't know why that struck me. It's like, I could see that. It's just like,
I teach my clients to use their phone as a phone. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, my chiropractor retired during the pandemic, and I got a new chiropractor, and actually she was referred to me as a client. So she was a client, and I started seeing her, and she's the best chiropractor. So if you need a chiropractor, she's in Lafayette, Dr. Becca Casputis, amazing. So I was at her office getting adjusted the other day, and we're chatting and catching up, and she's like, the stuff you teach really works. She's like, I was calling people and letting them know about my new shockwave thing that she got, this new cool thing to help people. And so she's like, I've been calling people and letting them know and having them come in and test it out. She's like, I'm getting so much business by calling people. And I'm like, and Dr. Becca, what generation are you? She's like, I'm a Gen Z. I'm like, mm-hmm. So even Gen Zs can use the phone as a phone, and it works to bring in business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, oh no, I get it. It's like I have certain people that only communicate with me by text, and it's like, no, call me.
Yeah.
It's just call me. We'll get this. It'll skip 53 texts and 43 hurt feelings and everything. So
yes.
Yeah. Yes. So one last question. I think I warned you about this ahead of time.
Uh-oh.
So, well, no, this is a good question. And it sounds like you were always very intentional about everything you did. Mm-hmm. But it's if I knew then what I know now.
Oh,
question.
Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot you asked me that.
Yeah. Well, no, usually people think, no, it's not. But it's like
hard.
Sometimes it's a hard question, and there may not be a great answer, but it's like, what would be like one or two pieces of advice you would give your younger self?
Well, I think, I mean, definitely when someone says that they're happy to be a resource for you, take them up on it, right? So there's so many times that I was told, if you need anything, and I didn't want to impose, right? And I thought, especially when I was younger, that person is so accomplished and what would they want to spend time with me? But one of the things that happens when you get older is you love to share your experience and you love to help other people that you see potential in. And so, part of relationship building is, and what I teach my clients to do when they're building a great network is you can give advice and you can receive advice. And when we exchange that, when we have that, if I'm giving and someone asks me for my advice, that it strengthens our relationship because they trust me enough to want to know what my advice is. Now, I'm not talking about giving unsolicited advice. I'm talking about someone asking your advice and being able to give it. There's a level of trust. If someone asks your advice, there's a level of trust. If someone offers to give you advice, right? Or there's some advice you want to ask for, like that, do it, right? So go ahead and ask the advice. And of course, respect boundaries and like make sure you're not over asking. But if someone offers, go ahead and be thoughtful about when and what you approach them about, but take them up on it. Get their advice, because that can open doors and it can open your mind to something that you didn't see, and it can really help you.
I think that's a great piece of advice, and I'm going to take that too. I tell the students in the networking class, and I'll take them to like the first Friday coffee over at the Concord Chamber, and I tell them, you have the best opening line ever. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm a student at DVC. What do you do? And they will just, because they're going to love it, and then follow up with them. That's the whole thing.
Yes.
But I do like that is don't be afraid to ask.
Yes. And here's the thing to also remember: if you're new and or young, everyone was new and or young. Okay. So it's okay. It's okay to be new and young. And just people respect your willingness to take action, your willingness to seek out information and to pursue your goals in life. So people respect that. So just go for it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for making it out. We will link to your workshops that you have coming up.
Fantastic.
We definitely want to do that. When are they?
I have some this Thursday.
Oh, that'll be too soon.
That's too soon, but I'll have some dates coming.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
All right. So,
Thank you for tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next, the podcast for the DVC Alumni Association. You can contact us at alumni@dvc.edu with any comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our podcast.